Coming up next, it's a Cartoon Network special, followed by Dexter's Laboratory on Cartoon Network.
Warner Brothers is easy for commentary purposes. Please understand and thank you.
Don't forget to subscribe!
Toto shall be king!
So fast!
You actually trying to stop me? It's so cute!
Who are you calling cute? The baby! Holy!
They're really special. I mean, really special.
Hey everyone, this is Overclocked Phoenix.
So let's get the show on the road. In our last episode, we went into a long 18 episodes of Sonic X and Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters, but now we're going to review another movie just in time for its 20th anniversary, the Powerpuff Girls movie. It was released in 2002 with the only theatrical release from Cartoon Network and Warner Brothers Pictures under the Family Entertainment label.
Superhero action flick got an astounding okay response from critics and received an adequate box office numbers but lost to Men in Black 2, and viewers' response was cool. Yeah, nobody talks about this much, and we can understand why.
The development of the Powerpuff Girls started all the way back in the year 2000! During the film's production, series creator and director Craig McCracken did actually not want to appeal exclusively to girls as the series merchandise made it out to be, which included jewelry and necklaces, and wanted it to make an action-adventure film that felt closer to his conception of the Powerpuff Girls. When deciding what the final plot would be, the crew had one that was purely an action show, and then one that was more of a subtle character piece. Cartoon Network liked both of them, so the result was a hybrid. The Powerpuff Girls was known for its audience for being highly composed by underground adults, and the film adaptation was intended in part to appeal to that demographic, and according to Cartoon Network executives, sparked sales of DVDs and home videos, packing crowds overseas and sent kids scrambling to buy cartoon-themed merchandise. Also calling the attention of more girls and teens, while guys can enjoy villain action figures. And during production, The Hollywood Reporter reported that voice actresses Kathy Cavadini, Tara Strong, and E.G. Daly have gone on strike, protesting that they weren't being paid enough to star in a feature. The studio publicly mulled replacing them with new actresses, not just for the movie, but for the rest of the series too. Eventually, a deal was reached and the trio returned to voice the Powerpuff Girls again. Production commenced in October 2001 and wrapped up in May of 2002. Well, to be honest, Jim Staples, Executive Vice President and General Manager of the network, saw the year 2000 as a good opportunity to bring the show to the big screen, as seen if that was given the success of family features such as the live-action adaptation of Scooby-Doo and Disney's Lilo and Stitch. Like the series, the film's animation was provided by Rough Draft Korea with additional compositing and effects by Mercury Filmworks, and additional animation by Munich Animation Film. All work done overseas was then shipped to Los Angeles, and where the main crew put every single shot together digitally at the recently opened Cartoon Network studios. The film keeps the stable look of the television series with minimal changes, with characters such as the girls and the professor having a mostly geometric look. The backgrounds are hand-drawn with some computer-generated enhancements. It also went on to have some minor edits in pacing for the final cut, but nothing so disastrous that it affected the final film, according to McCracken. And 49 half-hour episodes of the TV series have been already made up to that point, but production of the show went on hiatus to focus on the making of the movie itself.
So with that being said, let's ask ourselves a few questions. How well did the Powerpuff Girls movie do in 2002? And it is enjoyable today if it comes to Blu-ray via Warner Archive and HBO Max? So then let's find out on this super action film. Without further ado, this is the Powerpuff Girls movie. So let's kick things off with the plot. The city of Townsville is terrorized by criminals and villains. We're soon introduced to Professor Utonium, who returns to his house where he attempts to create the perfect child using sugar, spice, and everything nice. Little did he know that his experiment would soon become the most famous one of all. But his experiment goes wrong when his mischievous chimpanzee Jojo shoves the professor, making him accidentally spill chemical X into the mixture, causing a massive explosion. Though the professor has some distance between him and the chemical reaction, Jojo, in his less than brilliant form, stands near to look more closely at the specimen and gets the explosion head-on, throwing him out of a window. After the explosion, Professor Utonium regains consciousness and finds himself before 3 tiny girls who introduce themselves as his creations. Utonium proceeds to name them Blossom for being polite and the first to speak to him, Bubbles for giggling and seemingly cute and bubbly, and Buttercup because it also begins with a B and she's cute and tough and smart. Professor Utonium discovers quickly that his daughter has superpowers, including super speed and flight, when he rushes out to get them presents for their birth and comes back, nearly tripping down the stairs, but with Blossom catching him and Bubbles and Buttercup catching the presents. The following day, the girls help Utonium paint the house walls, accidentally painting almost all over him in the process, which allows him to almost paint his own face, load the furniture in, and make the windows in their room. Then they make lunch and have a happy day before bedtime. Utonium takes his girls to school and then comes back to pick them up at noon the next morning. But the girls learn of the game tag and take it into overdrive when they start using their super speed to flee from one another. The girls fly about, destroying various structures in town, with Utonium chasing him in his car while all the girls seem oblivious to wreak havoc they're causing in the city until they collide with the mayor who was about to eat a pickle. Utonium eventually bundles the girls back to their house, telling them that they should not use their superpowers in public for their own safety. The 3 understand, but they have no idea what consequences there will be for their reckless actions. Blossom, Buttercup, and Bubbles are treated as outcasts, especially in school, while Utonium is arrested by the police and taken to prison for creating new girls. The mayor, being an idiot, only did this because of not getting a pickle, while the other townsfolk believe that these 3 are dangerous to be around. The girls wait for their father to arrive after school until after he does not arrive. They are convinced that he hates them as well, and they sadly try to find their way home on foot because the professor has told them not to use their powers, and flying counted as one of them. And on the way they see a nearby television making horrible remarks from citizens of the city, including the mayor who shrieks about them being pickle cart killers, and the main newspapers say that they're bug-eyed freaks. Eventually the girls are caught in a heavy rain. Having no way back to their house, the girls try to take shelter in some boxes in an alley. Before the gangrene gang can attack them, the girls are saved by none other than Jojo, and now an intelligent monkey with an oversized brain and the ability to speak with a Japanese accent, who now hides in fear. The girls are moved by his speech and on how people resent him. Jojo cries out to the girls that he wishes to build a better city because he could not do it because he has no help and is a homeless beggar. The girls, who are now saddened by his poor life, decide to try to help him. However, they had to first use their powers again to activate a machine in a volcano and start to take structures from all over the world. The girls offer their help and Jojo accepts the offer. Together, the 4 build a new observatory on top of a volcano in the middle of the city that has a giant machine in the center. As a reward for their help, Jojo sneaks the girls into the local zoo, taking pictures of the primates in the zoo behind their backs. It is revealed to be by a gorilla shot that he has sent them with teleportation devices that are microscopic, but are shown very big in screen. The Powerpuff Girls start to reuse their powers again and fly back home. Weeks later, the girls manage to get into their home and Utonium is thrown through the front door and complains of arrests, lawsuits, and angry, violent mobs. During the course of the night, Jojo activates teleporting devices he attached to the monkeys and apes through his camera at the zoo and teleports them to his lair. The volcano in the middle of the city, where he uses his chemical X to mutate them into intelligent primates like himself, makes them eviler, rips their heads into bigger brains, and changes their skin to green and their eyes to pink, and give them dialogue like how it happened to him from the very beginning. The next day, the girls believe that the public will accept them, and they travel with Plutonium towards City Hall. Then Jojo, now calling himself Mojo Jojo, attacks with his primate army. So Jojo announces that Blossom, Buttercup, and Bubbles helped him with his plan, and the city has thousands of citizens abused, attacked, wounded, flooded, punched, strangled, and bitten on by monkeys. And the citizens start to blame the girls all over again, and since did their game of tag around the city. The girls try to convince Utonium and the citizens that they were tricked, but the hateful citizens don't believe them, and Utonium is brokenhearted beyond conviction. Dejected, the girls blasted off into space, finally decided that they are actually evil and were created for destruction. And there was no hope for the entire planet with the girls exiled. Mojo Jojo announces that the primates will rule the world in the human places race. With himself as their king, the primates, however, have all been rendered evil geniuses by the chemical X. All wish to be the future ruler of the primate race. And Mojo Jojo tries to gain control of his army, doing his very first repetitive speech in the process, but fails as the primate collapses into fighting. So Mojo Jojo decides to kill a despaired Professor Utonium.
Stop! Cease! Desist! Do not continue with your ramblings, for my ramblings are the ramblings to be obeyed, for I am the king, supreme leader, and all-around dictator, for I am the mastermind, the genius, and all-around visionary! For I will lead the original plan and set it into motion! Don't you see? All you monkeys are my plan, so your plans are my plans, because you made plans, and my plan was to make you! But I never planned for my plans to make plans to stop my plan! I plan to rule the planet, not to have my plans planned to stop me, the planner of you! So stop! Cease! Desist! I am your creator! I am your king! I am Mojo Jojo! Obey me!
We're not going to go over the characters and personalities because we already know who they are from the very beginning. And, to be honest, the background music, it's actually just pretty amazing because the composer is doing his best to keep it simple and to match the original series. So, with that being said, it's about time we get on to the spoilers.
Ah, spoiler alert!
Up in space, the banished girls are on an asteroid traveling far away from Earth, resigning themselves to isolation. Then, Blossom and Buttercup start arguing and fighting each other, blaming each other over their game of tag and for trusting Mojo in the first place, while Bubbles is crying. However, when they hear the screams coming from Townsville, and particularly Professor Utonium's choked yell, the girls fly back to Earth, where they all have to save the people. And eventually they realize that they can use their powers to fight off all the monkeys, each with a gimmick more bizarre than ever, to save the professor in the town. Mojo voices how he was afraid of this, and he takes the professor away as a shield. After defeating the monkeys, they realize that none of the monkeys have the professor, meaning that they've got one last monkey to get off of their backs, which references to Mojo Jojo himself. And before they take flight to Mojo, he uses the professor as a hostage against them, declaring his intention to rule the world, even if it means taking extreme measures. At that moment, Mojo pumps so much chemical X onto himself that he grows to the size of a giant, and he then proceeds to rip off the dome of Townsville City and places it on his brain as his new helmet. The girls tell the professor that they cannot let Mojo win and decide to finish, and he sheds a tear of pride. Now giant, Mojo then looks upon his defeated army, as he repeats his earlier statement before they rudely interrupted that he will be king. Soon, he is confronted by the girls who vow to defeat him. In a fight that follows, Mojo catches the girls in his humongous hand as he scales a skyscraper, which is an obvious reference to King Kong.
Now I am more Mojo than before! succeeded in my first, greatest, and most brilliant plan ever. And I, Mojo Jojo, shall be king!
He tries to make the girls join him by reminding them how much the town feared and hated them. But they try to break free from his grasp and punch him, and they push him off the skyscraper. We are stronger, we are invincible, and you are it. And the professor appears with an antidote for chemical ants. Antidote X, announcing that it will shrink Mojo Jojo back to his normal size. And he looks around for the girls just as Mojo is about to fall directly on the professor. But the girls push him out of the way, making him drop the antidote, which shatters on the ground. So Mojo crash lands on the antidote and he shrinks back to normal. Mojo is in pain from the fall, or possibly in shock. It is not easy, groaning in intense pain. The professor hugs the girls and apologizes for doubting the girls and says that he loves them very much, and the girls also confess their love for him. The girls then apologize for their actions, decide that they have rid of their powers, but the remainder of the antidotes, so the town will like them as ordinary girls, but the townsfolk arrive in protest. Miss Bellum apologizes on behalf of the mayor and the whole of the city over their misunderstandings and asks them to stop their heroes. The girls happily accept the job, asking permission from the professor. He agrees, stating that they can only fight crime in their lifetime. The movie ends with the girls defeating the Gathering King, the first villain they ever met, kick-starting their new career as the city's official superheroes. Plus, the narrator gives them their official name, Powerpuff Girls. Overall, it was a good movie, but some people didn't like it due to being over the top. And to be honest, Natalie actually had a great experience with it once it was released when she was 4 years old. She enjoyed it as much as we all did. So we give the Powerpuff Girls movie a 3.5 out of 5, and according to Gabe, this movie's rating is a 7 out of 10. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. What do you think? If you appreciate it, please be sure to smash that like button. And be sure to follow my social media platforms in the description below and Team Life Light stand-up channel. Please be sure to leave a comment below and please give us your open-minded thoughts. Because we here at Team Life Light stand-ups do not condone harassment, violence, or trolls allowed, or otherwise, Red Hellway from Comedy Central's The Ren and Stimpy Show will haunt you down till the ends of the Shadow Realm. Please be sure to subscribe to our videos and click the notification bell. You'll never miss a video the second it goes live on YouTube and Google. With that being said, thanks for watching and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye!
Final results.